classic San Francisco Marina District. It's the Ghirardelli Square, famous for the chocolate. Nice area. There's Noi. Oh, somebody's swimming there. It's pretty cold and amazing. In the distance there, that's Alcatraz. That's where people with bad hair transplants go. Here on the pier. The Rock. Here I am at Bodega Bay. You can see behind me along the Sonoma coast. There's my wife Noi behind me. Here's how my hair is looking in the bright sun. Yeah, this area there seems to be a little, I don't know, it's hard to do this in reverse, but this area there's like a little gap, like it's thick along my hairline, but I think I'm gonna need to, well, I need to fill in everything, but in particular there's an area right here, kind of on both sides, but more so in that area. And I noticed that when she did the surgery, I noticed that, so I'm trying to hold a hat, I noticed that there was the hair here and it didn't like perfectly match up, and that's one issue with doing it in different steps. Yeah, quite beautiful here. This is the general area where the movie The Birds was filmed. Not quite exactly this area. In Instagram heaven right there. Some kind of lodge there. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Beautiful living in California. Look at that, the beautiful churning sea smashing against the rocks. Almost can forget about the pain of hair loss. Almost.
The egg.
Like a dinosaur from 1,000 years ago. Look what hatched. Actually, that would be like 10,000 years ago. 10,000 BC, maybe more. If that is not a beautiful and diverse landscape, I don't know what is. It is July 30th, 2021. Let's have an update about my hair in the dying light of day. I think I'll be able to squeeze this in before the sun goes down. So, it's been over a year since I had my work in the back, and then just incrementally different months, about a month apart each area. And if you followed my history, I had it done in different sessions. Now, I noticed problems with that. There's good things and bad things. The good thing is, if you do too many grafts at once, if you really dense pack it, you can get necrosis of the tissue. It'll look like a bruise, and then it'll scar, and all the hair will fall out. So I didn't notice any of that. And most of the hair seems to have grown. I think the yield is high, quite reasonable. But one problem with spacing it apart was there was gaps in between the sessions, and the doctor called it touch-up, and we went back and we fixed it. But there is a very noticeable gap that's beginning to emerge in the front. So on this right side, I don't know, it's not quite as pronounced there. You can see it in the back. But on this left side, you can probably see that already. Like, this is kind of the thickest hair on my head. I really wish my whole head was like that. But there's a very clear gap here. It's like a wedge. And I guess if I grow my hair long enough, I can kind of cover it up, but it looks a little funny. You know, I wish I could just kind of push this back a little bit, even though I like where the hairline is, but I'm going to need to fill in that gap. So this area in the back, and I'll try to show that to you, and I'll have some pictures a little later. So this is just not going to be perfect. I put peroxide back there in this circle here, and that hair is weak, and that's my fault. That's not going to be perfect. There's some coverage there. It's better than nothing, but it's not great. Now, with the exception of this gap, this hairline hair is all head donor hair. It looks quite good. Looks natural. There's all single hair grafts. But it's very diffuse along the top. Now, in some lighting situations, it looks all right. But for the most part, it looks thinner than I would like. And, you know, I could convince myself to comb it a certain way and make it look a certain way, but the truth is it needs some work. And, you know, some people, they say, oh, I'm not photogenic, and, you know, because they don't look good in pictures. So I'm like, well, you know, maybe you're not that good looking. And with my hair, the truth is it's not thick enough. It's good, I'm happy with it, but more work needs to be done. Let me try to... So in this light, it looks okay, but in some lights, it looks really see-through. So, and one other problem, and I was talking to my friend David DeMuzio, who has a hair loss hope channel. One of our theories is this is almost all beard hair. And while beard hair is very coarse, it is almost exclusively single hair grafts. And also it's wiry, and it doesn't like flow as one. You notice that even in a beard, it's all scraggly. So I have that going on in my head, and I somewhat expected that, but even though the hair is coarse, the fact it's almost all single hair grafts means I just don't get as much coverage. And she packed it in okay, but it's not like super dense, and then the hair itself is single hair, so I just don't get the coverage I'm going to ultimately need. And at some point, I'm probably going to use leg hair and body hair and fill that in, and I think that'll be fine. Okay, so however, this hairline situation, I don't want to wait till I go back to Thailand. I want to fix that sooner rather than later. I somewhat expected when I was in Thailand the hairline might not be exactly like the way I want it, just for a variety of reasons. Maybe the typical Asian hairline is a little different. I've decided I'm going to go to Dr. McGrath here in Texas, here in America. And, you know, the cost is higher than Thailand, but you've got to pay for quality. And I just need this front area fixed up. So today I had a meeting with Steve Cook, who is a consultant for him. And as you've seen in the videos, he's very straightforward. We talked about what I hope to accomplish and what he thinks I'm going to be able to accomplish. And I've tentatively scheduled for September 15th. And my friend David's going to come. As you know, he's good friends with Dr. McGrath. That's going to be interesting to just meet all those guys. But the main point is that I'm going to get him to fill this in. And there's a couple ways that could be dealt with. One, he could excise this, take these grafts out, and just distribute it. I mean, this is kind of too thick. And also, this is a little too straight. So, I don't know, he might end up fixing this a little too. So make that look more natural. He could distribute this. I do probably have 1,000 to 1,500 more head grafts, and the hair on my neck all the way down my back is like equal to the density in my leftover donor hair. So if he's able, he could take from there. Ideally, he will be able to take some, and then we'll fill this in, and then if there was enough possible, I would also like to touch up the crown area. But I was talking to Steve about that, and we both agree I don't want to sacrifice a good look in the front. You don't want to spread yourself too thin, literally. So if Dr. McGrath decides that, look, you got to use all your grafts to get this looking good, that's fine. And I'll go back to Thailand or wherever and probably use more leg hair, body hair to fill in this back area. A second thing I'm going to do is I'm planning to get exosomes. And who knows, that maybe that'll fix the back area. So those together, I'm really excited to try the exosomes, because I have a lot of hair, but it's very fine and it's see-through in lighting. But if I could get that hair to be coarser, maybe I won't even need any more transplantation. Another thing that's interesting is my wife, if you look at her hair looks fine, but we've been together 13 years, and I've noticed it used to have more volume, and it's just kind of gone down and down, and she does not have female pattern baldness, but the volume has definitely gone down, and hair sheds a lot. So those are things that exosomes can treat. So if possible, she's going to get the exosome treatment too, and hopefully she'll be okay with this, but we'll show you the before, and as the months go by, that will be interesting in a woman and someone who has hair but just not a lot of volume in hair. It should be noticeable whether it works or not. So that's coming up in September, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be going to Dr. McGrath's Austin clinic, and I've driven across the panhandle of Texas, but I've never been to Texas. So who knows, maybe I'll like it in Texas and I even end up living there. Probably not, but I'm open to that possibility. So I'm going to go ahead a couple days, probably make a video with David and check the area out. I'm excited to see that. So that's what's coming up next for me. I will probably have another update in August, but I'll have a special video for that session, assuming that happens. Right now it's tentative, but I highly suspect that's going to happen. Let's just do one more look here. Actually, I'm going to take this out of the tripod and try to do some shots of my head. Doing a little handheld here. So here's my hairline close up. And the good thing is it's all single hair grafts. It looks natural, just the placement is lacking, and you can see there very clear gap, and the longer this gets, the more noticeable it is. And actually, to be honest with you, I started wearing a hat in public again a little bit because I'm a little bit self-conscious about this. Not the end of the world, but not ideal. This side's not quite as bad, but there is some gaps there. And also, in this kind of temple point, it could use some thickening too. But I might have to be strategic and just take care of the most critical areas first. Let's so here's this right side. That's the left side. Do the back here. Here's the back. You can see that unfortunate circle there. And then let's try to go over the top here. In this lighting, it looks okay, but maybe you can see what I mean. It's always hard to get over my head. Hopefully I'm getting that clearly there. All right, that's it for now.